It was fun. I have opposite sides of the field, so I'm tired. I wanted to go like start moving more stuff to new offices and paint and scrub the floor of the new art studio, and that may have to wait. I'm exhausted. But I did want to finish reading page 53. It was a great day. I'm very glad I got to go to the field day and stuff, and yeah, it's cool the schools do that in Maryland. But so page 53, Princess Diana said, every one of us needs to show how much we care for each other and in the process care for ourselves. Anthony Bourdain, I don't have to agree with you to like you or respect you. So again, we're talking about like being kind to self and others. Albert Einstein said, although I'm a typical loner in my daily life, my awareness of belonging to the invisible community of those who strive for truth, beauty, and justice has prevented me from feelings of isolation. So that was Einstein. Being kind, you're united to kind people throughout history and living today. I wrote that last sentence. But I definitely feel like when you're, I guess like as a teenager, I worked at this hair salon called Victoria and Albert Hair Studio. Yeah, it was fun. I was like 15 or so. Great people. I actually had to get my hair done to work there, and it was like $5 for chemicals, and it was a really great. I think I did like nanny, like mother's helper. Worked at Mill for Mill Swim Club, the front desk and catering, but so it was like my second tax job, I think, because like babysitting, I was, before 15, so it was like not. But the one woman's like, you're such an old soul. I don't really know exactly what that means still, because it means different things when you look at it, but like, I feel like with culture and stuff, it just goes so fast that I do find comfort in books sometimes, and like learning about like Socrates and like Einstein and other people that just like, reading about Mother Teresa or something. I don't know if I feel connected. I'm not taking a vow of anything, but I think it's nice to read about other people who lived good lives or thought deeply, and philosophers and all that. But I like the Einstein quote on feeling connected to the invisible community of those who strive for truth, beauty, and justice has prevented me from feelings of isolation. And I wonder though, like the negative media we have, if that's like isolating, because a lot of people, they it's like downers, and you're like, if we talked about like the invisible community of people are doing good all the time, and like, because there's tons of us, like most of us are trying to do something good, and that's not broadcast enough. So we're on fact number 10, which kind of gets into like the meat of the book, and we're on page 54. Crappy behaviors, thoughts, emotions, beliefs, situations, compensators. So we're going to get into crap compensators. So instead of dealing with your crap, how do you compensate? Words, treatment of others, all have unintended crappy consequences. Your actions may have unintended crappy consequences. Crap. 110, discussed in chapter 2. There's an author unknown. People need to learn that their actions do affect other people, so be very careful what you say and do. It's not always just about you. And I wrote, hopefully by the end of this book, you may have an insight into how to handle crap and feel a little more personal responsibility for improvement, and or have a funny book that can be used to help another. There is like, it's supposed to be silly, but I don't know. Take it for what it is. Why are people crappy? We do not know why a person is crappy. We do not know why children are abused sexually, physically, or emotionally. We know children should never be abused. No child deserves abuse. The person who abuses has something wrong with them, not the child. Potential causes for being crappy. Personality disorders. There's often unknown origins. Repeating what was done to them. Bad habits learned. Poor parenting, not having age-appropriate expectations, not loving self, so unable to love others, very low self-esteem. Read Buckets, Dippers, and Lids by Carol McLeod. How Full is Your Bucket by Donald O. Clifton, PhD, and Tom Rath on people having a bucket of positive emotions and a Big Dipper people can use to fully decrease positive emotions. People are crappy because of poor anger management, poor communication skills, lacking proper empathy, compassion, understanding skills, lack of insight into unintended consequences, not dealing with their own crap. We don't really know why people do what they do, right? So this book kind of like delves into some of it, and I'm probably missing a lot of it too, because every person's unique, just like your healing journey is unique. Pay attention, be responsible. P.M. Forner said, attention looks two ways, outwards and inward. As it checks the world, it checks the souls. It is up to us to put to good use its inexhaustible wealth of information. While we manage to do that, we are at our best and live life to the fullest. So attention looks two ways, outward and inward. As it checks the world, it checks the souls. So is it supposed... It is up to us to make good use of its inexhaustible wealth of information. While we manage to do that, we are at our best and live our best life. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like outward, like obviously like looking at yourself, but is it also supposed to be like, oh, this other person, like we're not on an island, like this other person's going through their own inward experience and healing journey, and maybe they're not as far along. I'm going to go into Prakoshka stages of change later, but they a quick thing is there's pre-contemplation, there's no problem. Contemplation, maybe there's a problem. Then there's planning, action, maintenance, relapse prevention, but a lot of people aren't even aware there's a problem, especially like some people, it's like their insight is low, or they lack empathy, or yeah. So I'm going to turn the page, and I'm excited because I get to the crappy unintended consequences is like a whole book that's like supposed to be silly. Like, yeah, the pictures I drew, a lot of them are very old, from teenage years. More crap facts. Crap is real. Crap that happened to you is not your fault when it has to do with like kids, right? Kids are blameless. No one should be like abused. No one deserves any of that. When you're an adult, though, if you punch somebody, you might get punched back. You know, if a kid hits you, you're not supposed to get back. But crap hurts, crap kills. You can recover from your crap. Excess anxiety is crappy. Some people choose to stay crappy, which is crappy. Leo Tutsus, I'm sure I said that wrong, from 571 BC. The greatest gift you have to give is that of your own transformation. And then this book is also Crap Happens Philosophy. It's online and at the Bridge Healing Center at Town Hall of Westminster. But I have added your own crap facts and some lines. So if you weren't with me in the beginning, the idea of the book is like it's your own journal. But we're going to go through my education of management, community organizing / clinical social work, and all the readings I've done throughout my life and quotes I found and all that. So chapter 2, negative ways people deal with crap. So we're going to go into defense mechanisms, denial, crap-filled explosions, head, crap body, crap smears, victim complex, entitled, retreaters, blamers, talkers, throwers, compensators, the cycle of crap or the ripple effect of crap, prevented by crap, enablers of crap, must solve out crap, crappy ways to deal with crap. Thanks for tuning in. So the long-term goal is I have to do dishes. We may get a dishwasher, so this is until then. And then I want to do a split screen so you can actually see the page. That's the long-term goal. Who knows if we'll get it. So I'm doing this for now. And we're on page 58. What do we do with the bad things that happen to us? Sometimes people feel so crappy, they do crappy things, which is crappy. Everybody poops, but what do we do with the crappy experiences, emotions, memories, thoughts, and feelings we all have? Remember, we all have them. And then I have crap used for good, crap used for bad. My friend Louise Villafani wrote don't know if all of this is his quote or not. He like went through and like added stuff. But crap is used to make fire in ancient days. Crap is used as fertilizer in the fields to grow veggies. Crap has good and bad uses, but how we handle it needs to balance its part of our lives. Many unintentionally used defense mechanisms. If you actually Google defense mechanisms, there's like layers of them, from like perfectionists that like are people pleasers that do tons of stuff, to like all the way down to like paranoid and like really unhealthy where your brain's not functioning because it's whatever reason. So I'm going to go back to reading page 59. A way that a person avoids dealing with a personal crappy reality, experience, memories, thoughts, and feelings. There are consequences as a result. You can look defense mechanisms up on the internet. There are over 15 different mechanisms that take place in the mind, often without the individual knowing it as it is happening. So like one of mine's intellectualizing. So if something happens, I like to try to be like, oh, how can I make this in the book? Versus feeling it. So I have page 227, 242, and throughout the book I do talk about them. These mechanisms often take place because a person does not have a better coping mechanism, ways to deal with their crap. Gary Shandling said, some are better than others. Without comedy as a defense mechanism, I want to be able to survive. And you see that a lot with comedians, if they deal with like a lot of depression, and that's like their defense mechanism is comedy. Jude Apatow, my way of dealing with the world has always been to make fun of it and observe it, but not to take part in it. That's how I became a writer. But when you have kids, suddenly you have to be part of things. It leads almost to a breakdown because your whole defense mechanism is now really destructive. I do think having kids does change like the dynamics too, a lot of the time. Dan Brown wrote, the human mind has a primitive ego defense mechanism that negates all realities, that produces too much stress for the brain to handle. It's called denial. So it kind of like the Prakosha stages of change. The first stage of change is like denial, pre-contemplation, there is no problem, which is also like when they talk about stages of loss, which is like, I think it was Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. One of the first stages is often like denial when you're talking about loss. And it's not just, they talk about it applying to ambiguous loss and different losses, but a lot of the time bad news. It's kind of like there's like a shock denial stage that many have. Not everyone, obviously. If you said everyone, that would be all or nothing thinking. And that's a kind of distortion. So we are on page 60. Denial is crappy. Some people deny that bad things happen to them. That this is called denial. It is a defense mechanism that is not helpful in the long run. I think it is helpful sometimes in the short run to get that, like, but not the long run. The category of people are full of all the bad, crappy memories, thoughts, and may end up being very impulsive and confusing. Visuals, deniers of crap often cling to rules and the status quo, regardless of if it's fair. I don't know if you saw the Lego movie, but they have a song, everything is awesome. Well, that's kind of like denial, and it's like humorous, because like they're all like, you know, like, I don't know, clones just doing the motions without thinking about it. Everything is far from awesome or fine. So I just kind of put in a box throughout the book, like things to Google, and I have a segment for it and Anna for it to like, yeah, they'll get more into denial than, I'll get into it more throughout the book. We're only on page 60 of like over 500 pages. But Lori Deshan said, no one changes unless they want to. Not if you beg them, not if you shame them, not if you use reason, emotion, or tough love. There's only one thing that makes someone change. Their realization that they need to do it. So many we're on page 61. So many crappy consequences. Richard Scarry's Please and Thank You book has a chapter on lowly worms' horrid pest. And Richard Scarry has a cute phrase and photo to go with each one, the following pest. It's like a kid's book. I don't know if you've seen it, but they have selfish pest, litterbug pest, gobbling pest, grabby pest, bully pest, interrupting pest, teasing pest, noisy pest, quarreling pest, fighting, smashing, crybaby, driving people crazy pest, whining pest. Richard McClure Scary, he actually lived 1919 to 1994. Crap can make us horrid. The book covers many of these pests, but with different names like crappy talkers, crappy. So my book, I have crappy talkers, crap throwers, crappy victim complex. I add more and want to warn you about scapegoating pest, people who will blame others for their crap. Watch out for these people. They will get you in trouble and leave the scene to let you take all the blame. And then in a little poop bubble, like a little. The book's black and white, but there's, it's brown on the PowerPoint. Being selfish, littering, stealing, bullying, rude, fighting, destroying property. Manners don't seem to be taught as much now. Turning the page to 62. Thanks for tuning in. I have somebody watching live, which is fun. So I'm just doing dishes and talking. So first I have, and there's no order to these things. They're just kind of thrown in there. I don't know if you can actually see it. So I'm reading it. I moved up to a clipboard. But yeah, so we have crappy sneers and crappy talkers. It's backwards on the screen. I don't know how to fix that. But if I split screen, you'll see it. But yeah, so some of these drawings are really old. I took photos of them. They're destroyed now. But have you ever met someone that always saw the world as negative? It could be rainy and they don't like the rain, sunny and they don't like the sun, snowing and they don't like the snow. They are always pessimistic and negative. These people take the crappy things that happen to them and smear it and only see the negative. Craig Crippen said, "You will see in the world what you carry in your heart." George Bernard Shaw, well, I write maybe some pessimism is good. George Bernard Shaw, both optimist and pessimist contribute to society. The optimist invents the aeroplane and the pessimist the parachute. You can never please these people. They are not always bullies, but often are. They don't even know they are constipated. And then you have like somebody like smearing it all over because that's all they see. And when you actually get into kind of like brain science, the more you like repeat a pattern or see negative, the more you're gonna, your brain's like wired and programmed to see negative. So it's like really hard for people to stop. It's not like necessarily a choosing, it's just kind of unfortunate because some people are just like really negative and they don't choose to be negative. It's just like it takes a lot of work to create a habit of finding the positives. But page 63, crappy talkers. You can think they have diarrhea mouths. My friend Lori, Carolyn Collison said diarrhea mouths. I was like, that's one. And or diarrhea words. Some people, instead of dealing with their crap negative life events, they try to make other people feel bad or saying or writing crappy mean things to them. They do not follow Socrates' guidelines. Is it true? Is it kind? Or is it necessary? It was attributed to Socrates, who lived in like 400 BC. Kevin Costner said, broken people say awful things and do incredibly absurd things. Another quote attributed to the BC's Aristophanes, open your mind before your mouth. This is a common crappy form of bullying and or compulsive complainers. So some people, they're bullying, and some people, they're just like complaining all the time. But when you think of it, it's like they're not dealing with their crap well. Like happy people don't like put people down. They don't generally complain about everything, So you're kind of like, there's something off if somebody's, negative all the time. I'm going to have don't be a crappy talker. I'm going to stop with Dorothy Day. Yeah, she's worth Googling. I have long since come to believe that people never mean half of what they say, and that is best to disregard their talk and judge only their actions. Maybe I'll go through the page. Jeff Brown said, words so powerful they can crush a heart or heal it. They can shame a soul or liberate it. They can shatter dreams or energize them. They can obstruct connection or invite it. They can create defenses or melt them. We have to use words wisely. Justin Bieber, think before you speak. Your words could hurt someone's feelings more than you intended it to. Mark Twain, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Susan Gale, sometimes quiet people really do have a lot to say. They're just being careful about who they open up to. Taylor Swift, the only words you'll regret more than the ones you left unsaid are ones you used to intentionally hurt someone. Eleanor Roosevelt, great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, and small minds discuss people. Have a great day. I pretty much have a couple of dishes, but I'm done for now. More tasks to do. Thanks for tuning in.